All right, so now we're going to move on to unique mechanisms in this section. We've covered research, R, and then mechanisms is the M in R and BC. What's cool, mechanisms aren't really that complicated, but they're really important. It's really crucial that you have this component if you want to write the best sales copy or have the best marketing and messaging and everything like that. In some respects, unique mechanisms are kind of like a unique differentiator or a unique selling proposition or unique value proposition. All of those sorts of things are kind of tied in to unique mechanism. But let me just kind of read through this with you, and then I may extrapolate or expand or expound or pontificate from there, right? So in a nutshell, the unique mechanism explains why our prospect is struggling or suffering to achieve a goal and how they can overcome that problem or overcome their struggles. And at the core, a unique mechanism always has two parts, and it's always a two-part logical connection. So there's a unique mechanism behind the problem our prospect faces, and there's a unique mechanism behind the solution to that problem. And what's really important is that we identify the unique mechanism behind both the problem and the solution. This is where I guess my contribution to this idea kind of comes from, is like, I didn't come up with the idea of a unique mechanism at all. People have been talking about mechanisms behind mechanisms of action, mechanisms of problems, things like that, but it's really the combining of the two that's super important. And I think that's where people hear about mechanisms, but if they don't have this part, they're missing this part, then this is where they get tripped up. Right, so why do we want to do that? Why do we want to combine both? Well, by showing the unique mechanism behind the problem, you get the prospect to understand why they failed in the past, and by showing the unique mechanism behind the solution, you get the prospect to believe that our product will bring them success when other alternatives have failed. And then this part here is pretty, I'm gonna just kind of verbally talk about it versus read this all to you. But basically what this part says, and you'll have this as part of the course, is you have to think about it like this. By the time a prospect comes to you, they've tried other solutions. It's very, very rare that whatever your solution is, it's like the first time that they've tried to solve this problem or the first time they've heard of your solution on a broad sense, right? Because if you are selling dieting or exercise or annuities or income investing or managing for profit, any of those sorts of things, whatever it is you're selling, a car, whatever it is you're selling, like, they've been sold that before, and they probably bought things that are similar to your product before as well. So there's always going to be a degree of skepticism right away, or a question of like, is this similar to what I've tried in the past? And if it is, why would my results be any different today if I haven't had the results I wanted in the past? And they haven't had the results they wanted in the past, or they wouldn't be engaging with you, whether it's through your sales letter or a sales meeting or whatever it is. Like, they have a pain point, but they're looking for something that's going to actually solve the pain point, and they're wary or skeptical because they haven't succeeded in the past, right? And so that's why we need to have this unique mechanism. We need to differentiate. We have to show them, well, actually, with the unique mechanism of the problem, we need to show them, actually, here's the real reason why you failed in the past. So you've tried these other solutions, but they were all missing this one piece, or they all got this one thing wrong, right? You tried keto, but it turns out that here's the one thing about keto that nobody tells you, the one problem of keto, the one reason keto doesn't work for you. Maybe it's hormones or your metabolism, or really the uniquer the better, which you can find through research. And I'm going to do a bonus module on this from a health perspective, and I'm going to show you some other mechanism examples here as well. But yeah, you're like, that's like the missing 1%. It's like one, and you see down here, I bold one crucial piece of information, right? That's super, super important, because what we want them to understand is like, okay, you were really close before. Maybe that's why you got partial results, but not complete results, because a lot of times people have. You were close before, but again, there's this one missing piece of information, this 1%. You had 99% of it, but there was 1% you were missing, and that's the reason why you didn't succeed. And if we do that, and we can show them how our product or service or whatever incorporates that missing 1%, then we have them in a really good place. Because if you get them to believe that really this just was one thing they were missing, and then you can tell them, I will give you that missing 1%, either I'll do it for you or you can buy it or whatever it is, then as long as they really believe you, it's easy for them to latch on to the solution that you're offering them and really believe that it will work, which makes it a lot easier for them to buy. If they believe that your solution really works, they'll buy. I mean, that's the biggest secret of all with copywriting in general, right? Is if and selling actually, period. Is like if somebody has a pain point and they actually 100% believed, and it's a bad enough pain point, and they believed truly 100% that if they gave you money, that pain point would go away, then they would do it almost every time, right? Your conversion rates would be 50%, 90%, 70% of the time you would convert. Does it make sense? But the truth is they don't. A lot of them don't, which is why for online with like a $50 or $100 price product, your actual conversion rate is maybe anywhere from 1 to 5%. So 1 to 5% of the time through all of this copy, you can get somebody to believe you enough to buy from you. But the higher you can get that believability factor, the more you can get them to believe you, the higher your conversion rate is going to be. And again, they've been burned, they've seen other solutions, so we have to differentiate both the problem and the solution, and that's why the unique mechanism is so vital. So I hope that makes sense, and obviously, like I said, we gotta look at some examples, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll jump in, and in the next couple of videos, I'll be going through examples of unique mechanisms behind the problem and unique mechanisms behind the solution.